nagpamalas tayo na kahangahangang 6.8% GDP growth noong 2012.
今年上半年国内生产总值增长7.6%。
By simply raising women's employment rates to the level of men, GDP would jump significantly. By 5% in the US, 9% in Japan, 10% in South Africa.
When we talk of growth, we speak of growth of a technical order, GDP, gross domestic product. Personally, I wouldn't say too much against it while we still remain in its technical domain. The total added value produced in an economy is a useful technical tool. In reality, the problem arises when this indicator is sacralized, when it is assimilated with an indicator of progress, which it cannot be. I think the best examples of this are in the United States. It is one of the largest countries in the world and has one of the highest gross domestic products per inhabitant, about 30% more than that of France. Yet it holds all the records of the developed world for inequality, poverty, bad health, obesity, violence and crime, people in prison, etc. It's the perfect counterexample.
GDP simply measures the economic activities that are taking place in a marketplace at a given time. Senator Robert Kennedy once said that GDP measures everything except what really is important to the well-being of the human individual, the human society.
Welcome to Bhutan, the country of gross national happiness. Created by His Majesty Jigme Wangchuck in 1973, GNH is considered to be one of the most successful complete alternatives to GDP. Since the advent of parliamentary democracy in 2008, it has inspired Bhutan's entire public policy. Locked between the giants of China and India, for a long time, Bhutan lived folded in on itself, far from the turbulence of modernity and growth. It is considered one of our planet's poorest countries, and yet it has become a model today. That of a post-growth society in progress, at the origin of a United Nations resolution approved by 67 countries. In 2013, Bhutan submitted a report at the UN's request entitled Happiness Towards a New Development Paradigm. It was written in collaboration with over 60 international experts, including Tim Jackson, Richard Heinberg, and William Rees.
I think this is one of the most optimistic and enlightening and wonderful thing that's happened in recent history. A small country has recognized that gross national product does not equate to human well-being. That if you want people to be happy, you have to emphasize other things that aren't necessarily based on an improvement in one's propensity to consume. And so to the extent that little Bhutan has held a beacon up to the world, I hope it helps to lead us all out of the fog.
Okay, children. Welcome each and every one of our students, each and every one of our parents, and even teachers we have, old ones as well as new ones. We would hope that we will do our utmost to well and truly educate for gross national happiness, or as is the case at ELC, to educate for universal happiness.
In 2010, the government published a directive requiring all schools to introduce the teaching of GNH into their program. The ELC is today considered to be a pilot school, and its practices inspire many teachers throughout the country.
When we were presented with the mandate of educating for GNH, we tried to make connections between all the activities that we do at school with the 4 pillars of GNH. So basically the 4 pillars are nature conservation, cultural promotion, sustainable economic development, and good governance. Let's take the first pillar of GNH, which is symbolized by the tiger. Nature Club, for instance, when children are engaged in growing their own vegetables, which are organic, children actually are then finding alternatives to packaged food, which pollutes the environment. So that is how the children see the connection.
In 4 years, the ELC has radically changed its teaching program. It now divides lessons into 2 strictly equal sections, academic subjects and life skills lessons. Here, all pupils learn to cultivate an organic garden and to recycle plastics, which are washed and cut up before being used as stuffing and cushions sold for the benefit of a hospital. For Deki Chodin's team, GNH has brought about a veritable educational revolution, summed up in 2 key objectives: the development of the children's autonomy and their capacities of resilience.
I think learning has to be embedded in the real world context, and it's about understanding where is the world right now at, what are the challenges, where do we fit in the bigger scheme of things.
You have only done your part really well as a teacher, as an adult in this child's life, when you have handed over that power, when you have skilled your children in such a way that they are empowered to take a change, to be a change maker.
At the same time, we really need to teach our children the meaning of resilience, to be tough, to be able to resist temptations, to be able to say no.
If you are a resilient person, I think you are able to overcome many obstacles in your life. I think it teaches you that we are all capable of withstanding any kind of force that will be the cause of our unhappiness. So I think it's a very important quality that we have to work constantly with our children to possess.
It sounds very simple on the surface. Go from GDP, which is dysfunctional, to gross national happiness, which sounds so good. Everybody wants to be happy. But it actually is very profound because it implies a complete makeover of the basic systems of society.
In 2009, the King of Bhutan created the Gross National Happiness Commission, entrusted to the Prime Minister. His mission is to identify development priorities and to check that the different ministerial projects are in accordance with the 4 GNH pillars, which cover 9 areas: psychological well-being, health, education, use of time, cultural diversity, good governance, community vitality, ecological diversity, and standard of living. Established to cover the material and non-material needs of the population, these 9 areas constitute the GNH indicator that goes well beyond just GDP.
Clearly, we need to recognize GDP for what it is, which is just a means to measure economic activity, and add onto that other measures which really can be measures of progress, measures of sustainability. GDP is not a measure of sustainability. It can never be.
Gross domestic product is deceptive because it does not play an alerting role in any way. We would like the increase in GDP to also tell us something about the heritage we care about and things that are of concern to us. So what exactly do we care about? What do we need for living? We need a natural heritage that is in good condition, and we need healthy social cohesion, good social health. We can have a large GDP, and at the same time, our social cohesion and fabric can be in a very bad state. So in no way does GDP play the role of an alerting indicator that would ring alarm bells with the warning, careful, you're overstepping critical thresholds.
Choices we make are influenced by the frameworks we use to make choices. So if you make choices using only an economic framework, that choice will probably be very good from an economic perspective. But when you look at overall, it may not be good from a social perspective, from an environmental perspective. But because you do not use a comprehensive framework, you do not see the trade-off clearly. So you probably end up making a decision which has a lot of negative, unintended consequences.
The GNH indicator has inspired several important decisions in Bhutan, such as a ban on advertising. Decided by the king, it was confirmed in the name of the protection of the environment. In agriculture, which employs 70% of the population, the government has launched the transition to becoming the first country in the world to be 100% organic by 2020. In the same way, the government has committed to maintaining a neutral carbon footprint. It relies on the Constitution, which demands that 60% of the national territory be covered in forest land. As a result, the felling of trees and mining are strictly regulated. Finally, in the field of tourism, the government operates a highly restrictive policy of high added value and low impact. The taxes paid by tourists are used to finance health and education, which are free for all.
You know, we can look forward to a much better way of living in this world if we can just put aside what we have, let go of the past, and embrace the future. We have visionaries that are sketching out what the possibilities are, and we need to listen to what can be.
I'm learning in this school that even as young as I am at the current age, I can help the world become a better place to live in.
We think that we have all the trees in the world and all the oxygen in the world, but we don't. We have a limited supply, and we need to step up so that we use all of it and take away all the beauty of the world.
Actually, you can only obtain true happiness if you can achieve universal happiness. So it's like not always me, me, me. It's like a whole community, society, all together. When all of them, if they are happy, then only it's true happiness.
For me, happiness is sharing with everyone, making everybody happy, and making sure that no one's left out or behind.
And everybody say, I can? I can! So you can totally become problem solvers today so that when you grow up, you become amazing citizens of the world. Okay, 1, 2, 3.